welcome back to house. Ben, should I engage a lawyer or a conveyancer?
Well, that's really interesting, Ellie, because you have a law degree.
Correct?
Myself, I would only ever use a lawyer.
I would as well.
And I'll give you my reasoning, and
Yes.
then I'd love your input.
Yep.
So what I have found is that I would always prefer to be using someone, especially when we're talking so much money, who has actually spent 4 years studying exactly what we're talking about, rather than sit a course for a couple of weeks,
Yes.
and then they can actually advise you with legalities.
On the biggest purchase one will ever undertake.
Yeah, I have a real problem with that.
Yes.
And what I know is that many people opt to use a conveyancer.
Because it's cheaper.
Well, they think it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. And what they find, and I can say this hand on heart, I have used
Left hand side, yeah.
a conveyancer
Yes. And a lawyer.
and lawyers.
Yes.
I used a conveyancer once. It was a total debacle. What happened? That was in 1998. Okay, and it was just a disaster. Everything about it was a disaster.
Yes.
What happened, and then from that point, I only ever used lawyers. And what you'll find is,
But do some of your clients say, hang on, I don't want to spend the extra money on the lawyer? How do you inform them that it's a better, wiser choice?
most of the people, I would say 99% of the people that I've looked after would always use a lawyer,
Okay.
because they would ask me,
Yep.
Ben, should I use a lawyer or a conveyancer? Always a lawyer.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. Because if problems arise, and problems always arise with property, what will happen if you're using a conveyancer, they will handball it straight away because,
They can't do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They do not have the knowledge, the expertise.
Yep.
And so it's going to cost you a double whammy. So you're better off engaging a law firm, a lawyer, look after the process for you. That's what they're paid for. So be it, and it's done. And what I would suggest at the same time, as you're organising the property, you do your will at the same time as well. Because it is amazing the number of people who buy a property
Who do not have a will.
and do not have a will.
Yep.
And if you think that everything's going to be fine, oh no, it's not. What will happen is the state will become involved, and there's no will in place. It's on for young and old.
That is great advice. I know from hearing, stories
Yep.
of people not ever engaging in getting their will and last testament in place.
Yes.
And there are massive problems. So it's a great opportunity to do it whilst you're engaging a lawyer anyway. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah, 100%. And you've got it in place. And another little nugget,
Yeah.
call it a gold nugget for the viewers, and I'm involved with this an awful lot at present, is that when you have your will prepared by a lawyer, don't use these $20 will
Online,
kits.
yeah.
Okay, just don't do it. That's just,
Yeah, it's not worth the.
it's crazy. Okay, so when you actually use a law firm, and which you should, and you prepare the will, you will have the decision to be made who will be the executor of the will.
Correct.
At the time of your demise. This is the golden nugget for you. You appoint the law firm to be your executor. You do not appoint
Family member.
a family member. Well, I wouldn't. And I have seen everything, and it gets out of control like you wouldn't believe. And more often than not, Ali, I do a lot of work for lawyers, law firms, and it's so much work I have is involved with family.
Disputes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is awful. So you were better off, you pay the lawyer to be the executor of the estate, it is done. Your kids will thank you. Oh, they'll probably hate you for it because they can't manipulate the process, but it's the cleanest way. my will,
Yes.
the lawyers are the executors.
Yep.
Straight away. It was a no-brainer for me.
Yes. Yep.
So that's what I've done myself, and from the carnage that I witness on a monthly basis out there, it's just not worth the pain.
Yeah. So that is great advice. Get your will done whilst you're engaging with a law firm. Fantastic advice, because I've seen and I've heard many times that people actually don't have their will in place, or as you said, they've engaged in these online $20 will kits, which they're not worth anything. They're not legal. Well, I shouldn't say that, but some are not legal and they're irrelevant, really.
Yeah, definitely. So, Ellie, what's your thoughts on a conveyancer and a lawyer?
Every day of the week, lawyer. Why? Because pretty similar reasons. A lawyer have got great, so if they're a lawyer for property,
Yep.
definitely understand, they've got a high level of knowledge and experience.
Yes.
And experience counts. But they can also engage with other lawyers should there be other issues at play, and often there are. Whereas a conveyancer, well, as you say, it's beyond the scope. They don't really, well, they can't advise on it, so then they're pretty much going to go through the white pages. They wouldn't have the same contacts.
Correct.
So absolutely, lawyer always. I'll always engage a lawyer whenever you've in a big, or not even a big, any type of business decision that kind of has consequences. Engage a lawyer.
100%.
Always be better prepared.
Yep, definitely. Any questions, please drop them in the comments and we will revert.
Thank you very much.
Like and subscribe. Take care.
Thank you. That was actually very good advice in regards to the will and last testament.